started, thank you all for coming. We got a big agenda, got several visitors. We got y'all up at the top of the list. That way you can give your presentations, and we'll take care of what we need to take care of today. But thank you all so much for coming. Paul, man, it's good to see you. And I've asked Paul if he would to lead us in prayer this afternoon.
Let's bow our heads. Our Father in heaven, we thank you, God, for your goodness and for your mercy to us. We thank you, God, for living in such a wonderful place as Jackson County. For the beautiful day that we have to be here, Lord, we thank you for that. And God, we thank you for the people that are here today to try to do something to make a difference for the people that we love and so dearly in our county. And we know, God, we're going through struggles, as is every place right now. So, God, we ask you that you would be merciful to us, that you would take care of our situations. We pray, God, for wisdom to make good decisions and the strength to carry out those decisions. And, God, we give you praise for all good things. We know, God, there's so many that are struggling, that are sick, that are going through difficult times. And God, we ask you today if you would just put your hand of healing upon those that are sick, if it be your will. And God, you'll be with the ones who have lost loved ones and are going through these difficulties. We pray, God, that the business that's conducted today will honor you so that we may be the kind of people that you want us to be, that people will see God in us, and that we may do something that will make a difference in the people that we serve. Thank you for being so good to us. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. There's a flag right outside the door. I'll have one in here. You got it there?
Yeah, right there.
All right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. Good on the prayer. I apologize for having to move, but we had the driver's license division come to a pop-up event today. They had 18 appointments, and they always use our upstairs courtroom at the old courthouse. So we was obligated today. So appreciate Doris for letting us use the room over here. So we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. And Doug, you want to read the minutes? You want me to read them? Yeah. All right. All right.
Sandy, ever call a meeting or minutes from February the 16th, 22 are read and approved with a motion by Todd and second by Long.
No.
Sandy, ever, huh?
Go ahead.
Oh. He said, I wish he'd slow down. Sandy ever recognized visitors from Friendship Christian Church. Signed a proclamation making March the 9th, 23. Friendship Christian School Day. St. Gabbard announced the creation of a county reapportionment committee, appointing 3 members: Jeff Bingham, District 1, Brian Judd, District 2, Representative, and John Johnson, District 3. Motion by Vaughn, second by Todd. Those have a chance, by the way. We're going to go with it right now. Start. Shane Gabbard presented the first reading of the budget amendment 039022023. Motion by Vaughn and to approve, second by Baker. Shane Gabbard presented the treasurer's bills transfers. Motion by Vaughn, second by Baker. Set the next meeting April 13th for 1 o'clock. Motion to adjourn by Baker, second by Vaughn. Okay, this was March the 28th, 23. Shane Gabbard called a meeting to order to be presented the fiscal year 23-24 jail budget. Motion by Vaughn, second by Baker to approve. Shane Gabbard presented the first reading of the fiscal year 23-24 budget. Motion by Todd, second by Baker. Shane Gabbard presented the fiscal year 22-23 second quarter report. Motion by Vaughn to approve, second by Baker. Shane Gabbard presented the second reading of the budget amendment. 03-09-2023. Motion by Vaughn to approve, second by Todd. Shane Gabbard presented the Kentucky Deferred Comp Joiner Agreement, resolution motion, and resolution. Motion by Baker and second by Todd. Motion to adjourn by Vaughn and second by Baker. That's all, folks.
All right, we'll entertain a motion to accept these minutes as read.
Second.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We got plenty of visitors with us today, and I always try to put them up top, that way if we've got time restraints, they can go ahead and go after they get done, or welcome to stay with us even more. And thank you all for being here today. Dale, I've got you on there first, Mr. Dale, too. I was the Sheriff's 22 tax settlement. Paul, thank you for coming. Joanne, thank you for coming. I got a hug from Joanne, it made my day. So, it's good.
I did
good.
too.
I did, yeah, made her day. So you got the floor, Dale, thank you for being here.
I've got some of these copies here. Pass out. Sure. Hopefully I got enough for y'all.
Thank you, sir.
I got more papers than the last.
Got all kinds.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I think we'll
Oh, well, we got one.
got one right here. I'll get the sheriff.
Okay. Excuse me, one more. We need
I think we're good.
I have a separate sheet here for each one of the districts, but I'll just mainly address this first summary sheet. A lot of detail, I'll just kind of hit the highlights, top points. The charges at the very top of this summary page is what the sheriff was given to collect. And this settlement is just for the outgoing sheriff. So this is from time of collection, October through December 31st. So it's broken into two different settlements this year, outgoing and incoming sheriff will have a second one through the middle of April. So in total, total charges about halfway down through the report here was given $1,186,000 roughly to $4,186,000 to collect. And this is very close to last year's charges. And in total, the credits on down there was $567,000. So what we ended up with is amount collected minus commissions and all of these other credits and what was actually dispersed out. And the difference in that, in this settlement, was $1.59 on $4 million worth of collections and disbursements. So I've been doing these settlements about 15 years, I guess, and this is about the closest I've ever seen one come out in total. So there's always several. There's always, you know, when you look at all of the different districts and the disbursements, different things goes on. Some of the districts get in the wrong bucket or switched. So the very bottom of the first page, the summary page, I show the variance or the difference within each district that adds back up to this $1.59. So all of the pages after this first summary page has the same detail for each district. But in these districts, the minus on there is to be collected from that district, and the plus is owed that district. So you can see there's some variances between. The state is showing owing them $41, county $22, schools $191, library $47, soil conservation $8, health $25, extension $32, fire acres was a quarter off, ambulance, and it showed overpaying them, and I didn't, dig into some of the differences, but basically, when they ended up, it's showing overpaid the ambulance to collect disbursement of the districts, but that's the summary. And about the only difference in this is maybe in franchises. We normally have around $800,000 of franchises, but they were slow coming into all the counties this year, so we only showed 498,000, but the balance of those will probably come in from January on and be on the outbound shared settlement.
Steve,
Any questions?
anybody got any questions for Mr. McNew?
Very good settlement.
All right, we want to go ahead, I've got that down in the agenda, but we want to go ahead, since it's fresh on the mind, make a motion to accept that settlement. We got a motion? Any vote? All right, thank you. Dale, thank you.
Okay,
Appreciate
you're
you.
very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne and Paul.
I will.
Been a little slice ahead.
There you go.
59.
Yeah, you got Blake.
Yeah. I'll let you come back around, all right? All right.
We didn't see you leave.
All right, next, we have got Mr. Jeffrey over here.
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, Luke. Luke, I call my name half the time, I'm sorry. They're with Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, and they come to give us a little presentation on what they do. You all got the floor. All right, thank you for coming.
Thank you, everybody, for having us today. I presented to a lot of fiscal courts at this stage. This project's probably been going on for 10 years. The Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway, we operate it as a nonprofit, and we operate in Powell County, Haskell County, Lee County, Wolf, and Menifee. And we basically promote a route that brings in street legal recreation, like of the Jeep variety, on some of the routes that are already existing in these counties that we want to kind of consolidate those assets and support them. So I go in and talk with the judges and the tourism groups, and we explain how it all works. So that's why I'm here today. We want to extend it into Jackson County. We feel it's very ripe for it because the tourism economy could use it, and it's very popular right now. I'm from Northern Kentucky, and I've been coming down this area since I was 16 years old, and there's a lot of folks from that area that enjoy coming down. So our goal is to get the stakeholders, to in the same room where it means something to them, because the roads are your roads, the Forest Service, they're one of our stakeholders. We've worked with them from the very beginning, and anybody else that has an interest in what we're doing. So basically what we do is put together a PDF map. That's a technology that allows you to download a map on your cell phone, and it follows your GPS signal, and it doesn't need a cell signal. So it's perfect for remote areas where you don't always have good service. And again, it's for street legal vehicles like Jeeps and so on, Toyotas that are able to manage like roads that are unimproved necessarily, but the route connects like a lot of gravel with asphalt with unimproved sections that keeps it interesting for folks that have that sort of hobby in mind. You download the map from our vendor, which is called cartotracks.com, and they update every year whenever any changes are made. And it allows us to put points of interest on the map so that you can come down and not know where you're going whatsoever, and hit a website, download the application, get it on your phone, jump in your vehicle with your family, and drive this route. So the initial route was about 100 miles centered around Red River Gorge area. Since then we've expanded multiple times, but we do it very slowly. We want to make sure that we do things to get things in order before we start sending vehicles through, because it kind of raises attention when you see events, because we have 4 fundraising events every year, and those funds go directly into a byway maintenance fund that we manage and create, and we take that money from these events and we put it right back into the roads, normally culverts and ditching and graveling and hardening and that sort of thing, wherever it needs it. So typically we'll go in and fix any known problems that exist, and then any that occur, we tap into this fund for it. and make sure that we can keep up with what we're doing, because the roads are very, fragile at different points, and you want to make sure there's money behind it. The Forest Service made that clear when we got our memorandum of understanding with them back in 2018, that we want to bring in tourism, we want to make sure we put funds behind it. So we started this in 2013, and we partner with lots of other groups. One of the most important ones that we partner with is the Tread Lightly organization, which is a national organization that manages off-road recreation, and they establish principles that keep the impact on the roads very low. So we have people in our group that have been trained by them to train people to go out and trail ride responsibly, including staying on the trail, being aware of what the sensitive areas are, not going off the trail to cause extra damage and that sort of thing, littering and that sort of thing. It's just an education program that the Forest Service likes us to use, and we prefer to do as well. Most of that information goes across our Facebook page and our website, and we're able to get people involved through those platforms and get the word out. So basically what we've done in this area after we've been exploring Jackson County is noticing that the furnaces in Estill County are historical landmarks that are of interest to people, and it's very close to McKee. So the idea when I put this together was to start connecting the county seats together. So we started with Native and the Gorge area, Slade, and then all the way over to Beattyville, and then Frenchburg, and so on, Campton, and just kind of connecting the dots so that when people who drive these routes come through the town centers, that way they can patronize all of the local businesses directly. And we found that people who are into this type of activity typically have expendable income, and they are in a preservation state of mind. They feel like guests when they come through. It's a very family-oriented type of recreation. And we feel like the furnaces are very ripe for us to bring in some of this type of recreation. So we want to bring McKee into that fold. I've shared all the specifics of the routes, and I can just go across a couple of the roads, because right now most of this Daniel Boone Backcountry Byway Loop is north of here. This will be our most southerly expansion yet. So it links all the furnaces and comes down into McKee. In Estill County, Happy Top Road is one of the beginning portions that leads into Jackson County. So it follows along the top of that ridge and comes out, and then it uses Herd Springs Road, and then it heads over to Foxtown Road to Sand Lick Road, which is a lot of gravel and asphalt already, with a couple of trail sections mixed in there that go across Forest Service lands. And then it uses Wild Dog Creek Road and connects McKee. And of course we have the campgrounds here in Jackson County, Ash Tree and Turkey Foot, that we want to direct this kind of traffic to, because that's right up the alley of what this kind of recreation is made for. So we use the technology to keep it responsible, and we want to put these roads in a place where they're preserved and sustained, and people are using them recreationally and responsibly. A lot of times what we've found is a lot of the roads that would normally attract people, you can't really direct them there responsibly or safely because of the private land, public land sort of dichotomy that goes on out in the countryside. But if we know, through the fiscal courts that we're good to use these roads, and we use that PDF map technology, it mitigates that risk and puts people at ease and keeps them on those roads, and it also limits the amount that we have to maintain. So we don't have to say this offshoot of this road, it's really just a main route that goes through that connects the county seats. So we've been working for 10 years to get to this point. We're very excited about the potential of adding it through Jackson County. So I've come down to kind of present and be the face of our organization. We're very active in the area. We're dealing with Southern Four-Wheel Drive Association, which is a regional presence in the area, and they have a lot of funding to back up this sort of thing. And then a lot of local clubs in Kentucky, and then of course in Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area, are just very enthusiastic about what we're doing. I'm happy to answer any questions or any sort of follow-up information that anybody would want to throw out there.
Are you working with the Kentucky Mountain Regional Recreational Authority?
I'm on those calls that they have for their budget meetings and all that, but we do street legal recreation, which is totally separate from the non-street legal version, because we find that what we're doing is kind of using what's already existing, whereas a lot of times with that group, they're trying to improve and make trails that are coming in for that specific type of recreation. So I'm aware of what they do, and I'm on the calls, but we don't partner with them necessarily right now.
Are you familiar with Flatbook Falls?
I am now. Mr. Lakes pointed that out to me when we got here, and
That
Luke actually
used to- that
visited
used to be part of your
yesterday.
trail. You
And-
got good camping there.
And that's the technology, like, we wouldn't be able to do this without PDF map technology, because you can put that point of interest on the map, and a family can be coming through in a group of Jeeps and say, hey, today we're going to Flat Lake Falls, and make that there, and it just already uses what you have. Like, I understand that's a developed area for recreation that people may not know of, or they have to search it out. Well, if they're on this route, which we see 1,000 visitors or so come through this route, they're gonna see it on there, and they're gonna come through town to get there and buy fuel, and buy food, and lodging, and all of that sort of thing. So, yeah, we wanna tap into what's already going on with the tourism groups, which is why we already met with the tourism group down here, because we find a lot of times they're very active, and they know all the places, like you're mentioning, so we're just coming in and kind of facilitating that traffic, basically.
They had a video just recently on the Facebook site, when they come through the video, stopping at Mama D's and having lunch, so.
Oh, yeah.
We can put any point of interest on there that you like, honestly, and it's free. Like they do, they make a little bit of money to maintain the map because it has to be updated when changes occur. Like if we have to make a change because something goes wrong on a road or a washout occurs or something, they can make it on the fly, and the technology enables people that have no idea how to get around. All of a sudden the map is updated and they're going a different way around that problem or what have you. So yeah, we've been successful in a lot of counties doing it that way with points of interest.
What would you need from us?
Just the awareness that we're gonna put the route in, so
Okay.
you're gonna see increased traffic along those roads that I shared with you.
Yeah.
Right now, like I was mentioning with the non-street legal version, we don't have to do much because the Forest Service is already our partner and the roads already exist and there are trail portions in there. And we just wanna make sure that the county's aware, because what we'll see is the landowners who don't see a lot of traffic will all of a sudden wonder, hey, what's going on? And we mentioned about getting a newspaper article out ahead of time. And people will then know, hey, this is tourism coming to Jackson County for the sake of all the things that I've mentioned and all the ones that you all work for and so on. And they have an idea that it's coming. So really, there's nothing new. We already use county and public roads that are existing. It's just we want to bring awareness because we just found that it's better to do it this way than to put that in. We have an event coming up in May, and you see 500 vehicles roll through town, and nobody has an idea why. What's happened, right? So no, we want to make sure that they're aware. So.
Okay. I thought I saw a couple Jeep Cherokees yesterday coming off of Mill Creek that had the fire filters come out the top. Probably me. Is that you? But that's you. Yeah, okay.
So we try to go and explore ahead of time, make sure everything's good, you know, like we don't want to take on huge responsibility with roads that are going to slip off right away. I mean, we want to make sure what we're using is already established.
Okay.
That sort of thing. But yeah, it's kind of making, you know, using the low-hanging fruit and putting it organized and making it in a managed situation with some money behind it. So,
These guys fit the perfect demographic
Oh,
we're
yeah.
looking for, so.
Yeah. Good deal.
I appreciate it, yeah.
Thank you for coming.
And then any follow-up questions or whatever, Judge has my information, I'm happy to come in, and we'll be in contact as we go forward and the announcement comes out that we're going to make that GPS route live.
Okay, great.
Good?
Great. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, come back anytime.
Mm-hmm.
Next, we've got Judy Smith, Mitchell Ball, Katie Gabbard. Anybody else with you guys?
I've moved 3 times.
You moved 3 times. And they're gonna talk about the industrial park, the grant that the proposal, the resolution we got on the agenda today. They're gonna discuss that a little bit about what this is, so. you
I'll
guys-
briefly talk about the grant. We applied for 2 different grant funding. It's matching funds. We approached the fiscal court a few months ago. We did get some funding from the city of McKee and PRTC. And mainly we came up with funds out of our own industrial authority funds. The industrial park in the northern Jackson County was not passed. Was not accepted primarily because it already had 2 tenants in it and it did not have natural gas. We did get the grant approved for the regional park in Handle, and we came up with $95,000, so the match would be $190,000. We did not know there needed to be a resolution from the fiscal court to spend the money until a couple of days ago. So it's a resolution. The grant's already been applied for, received, and getting ready to get started.
So you've got your matching funds that you received.
We had to go with what we had.
And you just need the resolution passed so that you'll be able to go ahead and get the funds.
Well, yeah, and if you got questions about that, I can try to help.
No, I was trying to get,
Basically, we will put the money in a separate account and then pay as we go, and then they'll reimburse us for 50%.
Okay.
So the main thing is that on the resolution that you got before you, on the very bottom where it says section 2, that's what stands out the most.
right,
It's showing, this resolution is showing that the Jackson County Fiscal Court supports this, the IDA funding from the Kentucky Economic Development Cabinet. And then also, the Jackson County Fiscal Court would also have to agree to be responsible for administering the funds that is awarded from the Economic Development Fund to the IDA.
okay.
So,
Basically, so this grant, you got your match, and you need this resolution to be able to go on with it. This grant is gonna be concentrated mainly on the front lot, right? Is that correct? Is that word? Okay.
The old Mid-South lot.
I'm old Mid-South lot.
We're getting a lot of inquiries about that lot and
Yeah.
other things in the county,
Yeah.
so we're hoping to get that field ready according to the state guidelines.
Yeah.
And it's real close.
I met with, it's been about 2.5, 3 months ago, I went down and met with Rocky Atkins in the Economic Development Cabinet, and talked about that front lot, about the, we really want to promote it because we feel like it's the most buildable piece of property we got in the county. It's close to, it's got all the infrastructure, and it's close to close proximity to I-75. It's good for truck traffic and everything like that. So they're well aware that we're trying our best to get some money to work on it. So Katie and Judy's worked a lot on this right here.
I can just say the original application said that we had 3 lots in the industrial park we wanted to work on. And lot 1 is our priority, get that build ready. Then if there's funds left over, we're calling lot 2 of the proposal is the lot right behind the, used to be the old JCRI building that's now where they paint the big schools for Okanite. So there's, that lot is grown over with a lot of trees, so if we can get those trees off and grass sown in there, make it more into a hayfield where it's more visible, because that lot's a relatively flat lot and we think is the next most marketable. So
Right.
we put in a request, since we had 3 priorities in the grant, if we have funds left over, can we start working on that lot? Have they confirmed that yet, Katie?
not officially, no.
Okay, so they haven't officially confirmed that, so,
The priority is the old Mid-South lot.
Yeah.
And then that second priority would be the one that she's speaking of.
So-
Yeah, if
and the
what-
original engineering cost estimates were pretty high, but we were able to talk to the states, and I got the old Mid-South plans and photographs of Mid-South, which will satisfy 2 of the requirements, which will cost us, or save us a lot of money
Yeah.
on getting that build ready.
Yeah,
So if we can save enough money on that, then hopefully we can work on 2 lots.
okay.
We're hoping. But priority is 1 build ready, so it can be advertised and state as a build ready lot.
Good deal, good deal. So this resolution, basically, this is, we're supporting this project, and we agree to administer the funds over to the industrial authority to be able to do the work on this that needs to be done. Y'all got any questions on that? Anything in particular? And I do appreciate y'all's work on this. I know that Katie and Judy Mitchell worked with the industrial authority on this project for a while. There was a lot of money that came out through these grants, but the match was what the killer was on all those grants for small counties. It was you could get a lot of money, but you had to match it with the same amount of money. So it was you got your bang for the buck, but it was a lot of it was hard to come up with that kind of money.
And we wanted to do something in the northern end of the county, but one of the requirements that we thought we'd get around was that you have to have natural gas on the site or be able to bring it to the site with this money. And we don't have a natural gas line, even though I interpreted that as you can have natural gas tanks, and they said, no, that's not. And so even though we tried to help out the northern end, we just, it's not an eligible project.
Yeah. Okay.
So $95,000 match, 3/4 of this is coming from where?
So,
Explain that to me again.
go
Do you
ahead.
want to say the 95,000 match?
We raised 95,000 with the donations and our own money from the IDA. And so that'll be matched to make it come out to 190,000.
And then 10,000 is coming from PRTC.
So that money is the block grant money in the IDA fund. Was 85?
85.
Or
85,000.
85,000 is that, and then PRTC made a donation of $10,000. So thank you PRTC and thank
Yeah.
you block grant.
Yeah,
There's still additional money out there.
yeah, there's money out there.
We're gonna match it.
I titled this as resolution number 04122023. It's item F on the agenda. Court office used.
Do you have a chance to look over this?
Do you have any questions on that resolution?
I was given it right
Just
before the
give-
meeting.
You give it right when I give it to you.
I have 2 questions.
Okay.
I am not familiar with the guidelines of the Economic Development Fund, but it's pretty clear to me, Section 2 indicates that the money will be turned over to the fiscal court and administered. So I don't, since the IDA is a separate government entity that consists basically of an agreement between the fiscal court and the city of McKinney, I would think that the fiscal court would have to hold the money.
I think that's what we see.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you all would be responsible for administering it, and I don't know if you all are familiar with the Economic Development Fund's guidelines. Of course, I would have to see those, read them, before I could advise you.
And so my understanding, talking
We
with
got
the
approval
state,
from the state. to
my
use
understanding,
those.
talking with the state, it's reimbursable. So once we get the engineering done on it, the engineer submits a bill for $20,000. The industrial authority would pay that $20,000. With the paid invoice, the state would reimburse to the county $10,000. And then hopefully that they would give that back to the industrial authority to do the next phase. It would get reimbursed. Now, we can do that all through fiscal court bank account, you can do it through IDA bank account, but that's the way it's a reimbursable. So you pay the bill, but they do have to pay the fiscal court, they can't pay the industrial authority back.
Understood.
That's probably have to run through the special grant account.
It'll become
So I
like
think I understand right with the, just like you said, that it's reimbursable, so it's not advance reimbursement. You pay the engineer, for example, submit the canceled check and the invoice to the state, they send the money back to us, we write you a check over for what you was reimbursed to go on to the next phase of the project.
That's correct.
Does that make sense? I guess.
And the IDA was created to reverse that, so that we
Yeah.
could do things that fiscal court needed done, so we didn't know about that until
Yeah.
after we'd already
Just
sent.
recently, we were
We
told
didn't know.
about that part.
That was nowhere in the directions or the instructions.
Where you're setting it under the umbrella of fiscal
Yeah.
court. In other words.
But under the structure of this funds, it has to go to a fiscal court or a city.
Yeah.
It can't go to the authority.
So anybody applying for that type of grant, it has to go through a fiscal agent. So like if another county did it, they would also have to do.
So I have a
I
question.
think we're a fiscal agent.
So so you're talking about having an engineer do work out there, submitting an invoice. Are you all gonna turn over your $95,000 to the fiscal court to pay that invoice? And then get reimbursed from the state? Or how will that logistically work? Who does the invoice need to be made out to? To the IDA or to the fiscal court, since the fiscal court is responsible for administering the money?
That's a good point, but I think either way would work.
I think from my understanding, we write the check to the engineer, and then once that is cleared, we send a receipt to the state showing that we paid that, and then they will reimburse half of that since it's a 50-50 match, and then they'll reverse it through the fiscal court, and then the fiscal court will send us that check.
And I don't think it would matter if you want to put all the funds in the fiscal court's account and then let them pay it. Either way, it would have to be done. Now, the industrial authority is the one that advertised requests for proposals for the engineers to do the engineering quote. So that process might have to be redone if you do what you say, but those are questions we can ask the state to clarify that, to make sure we're doing it correctly.
Well, I mean, section 2 just plainly says, I mean, it could have said the Jackson County McKee Industrial Development Authority agrees to be responsible, but instead it says the fiscal court agrees to be responsible. That's not.
Well, it's the type of grant that it is.
Yes.
It requires for, well, let me see if I can find the wording, but it's a county or city has to govern it.
Just from
I
my
thought
reading,
we
though, I'm
were
just saying that the
fiscal
money
agent.
needs to be in the fiscal court's hands. From my reading of this, right, just, 5 minutes.
I think,
No more
I'm sorry,
questions.
but I think you did over a few times. I think if you got a bill for 50,000, this is the way it's always worked before, and you paid $50,000 for engineer, and you send that to the state, they're sending you 25,000, correct?
Correct.
And that's where your match comes in to make up that difference.
Yeah, so you're paying it up front and they'll
You're
reimburse you
paying-
half.
Right, yeah. Yeah, that's what it's supposed to be.
That's what it's supposed to be.
If-
That's why it's been working on the ball park there for us.
As long as they don't get their speeding.
Yeah.
That's the way a lot of funds work
As long as
for
what?
government grants.
They don't get proceeded. The particular, they can refuse to reimburse if they don't like something, but hopefully that was right.
And it's a new grant from my understanding, so,
I think we know as much about it as they do, because
But we will ask that question, Ross,
Okay.
and make sure that we're doing it correctly, that we can write a check if we can't, if we need to give this report.
and I can also
think
start
it's just a matter-
forwarding everything to you also, since it's gonna be a fiscal court involvement. I think that would be something, we should have, so.
Well, they're just responsible, so if anything goes awry, they're the ones that are gonna get it, the county.
it will not cost the fiscal court any funds,
No.
but there will be a pass-through, and
Yeah.
it'll leave Shay and Amanda a little bit, and I'm gonna let that leave her. So, I'm sure they will work it out.
I mean, I think it's fine as long as we're sure that the fiscal court abides by the rules of the economic development guidelines.
Okay.
And overlooks or handles the money.
Right. All right, any other questions? We've done things similar to this before, I don't think it'll be an issue. I will say it's the first one that I remember doing through economic development. Their grants are structured like a lot of them, it should be pretty simple. Should be, and is, so. Y'all wanna go with the resolution today? I think it'll be all right. You got a motion? All right. None opposed? All right, do y'all need a copy of this resolution too, or are you good? I've got to give you a copy to put in the minutes.
Yeah, we'll need to sign a copy to submit with the final grant proposal.
All right, we'll do
More
it.
work on
Give the judge a copy.
I've got extra copy.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got extra copy.
And there is $2 million out there available.
Yeah.
If you got the match.
Yeah,
Hey, you got a
It's
baby?
$2 million.
If you got $2 million.
So if you've got $2 million, you can get $2 million in the same group.
And if you do a multi-county project, let's say you get Hosley, Lee, and Jackson involved in a project in that area, that's a $6 million project. If
Or
the-
12 if you count the match.
Yeah, so,
As long as they're not using those funds.
right, as long as everybody can come up with their match, that's the catch.
That's the problem. It's like half off.
that. With match grant though, a lot of these little counties, they got $1 million laying around for match, so.
What's that? You don't have to request the full million, it can just be up to 2 million. So even if it was like 100,000, if you have 100,000 and you want to double your money, it's a good opportunity to do that.
To make you aware of it, just in case you got something in mind that you want to do.
And I think that'll be available for at least the
Very
next
much.
year or
It's
so.
coming by the asphalt.
Will that ordinance have to be
All
filed?
of these, they should,
I'm sorry.
you're
The
providing
ordinance
that
has
extra
to be
money.
filed.
It's a resolution,
Resolution.
Our resolution.
Where'd I find this
All right. Next, we've got State Representative Timmy Truitt. Thank you for coming. Greg, I didn't know that you, Kathy, would be here right at the time of meeting. I'm sorry. Or put your name down.
That's all right.
But we're all with Jackson County Tourism, and of course, Timmy is our state representative. He's come through a session and a half down there in a small order. Doing a fine job, by the way. Thank you for that. We're going to discuss tourism a little bit this morning, or this afternoon, or whatever time it is. Go ahead, y'all got the floor.
Well, let me start, and then I'm going to turn it over to these guys because they know more about it. First off, I do represent 5 different counties, so I get to see the good and the bad of 5 different groups. Okay. I know you don't hear this enough, but I want to brag on you guys because you all are doing a phenomenal job. Especially over the last couple of months, I know you've took some hits, but I think you all have done a great job, a phenomenal job, and we appreciate it. In looking at the 5 different counties I work with, the thing that we miss here is a cheerleader. All right, a cheerleader. We need someone that knows everything that's going on in Jackson County, because just like these guys here that spoke a while ago, all right, they work in 2 of my counties. But when they're there, or Backroads of Appalachia are there, or KMRA there, I don't know which is which. You all probably don't either, because there's just tons of different things going on when it comes to tourism. All right, our county is a hot spot. And, you know, I think I said this last time I spoke to the fiscal court. There's going to be good things that's going to happen here. And it's going to boil down from all of our tours, our tourism, from all of our trails, all of our campgrounds, all of our uncharted territory that nobody gets to see except for us if we're on a horse or a four-wheeler, you know. So what we need, and I don't understand the logistics to make it happen, but I know the importance of it. We need someone that is that cheerleader that can put everything together, all right, and say, listen, this is what's going on with Backroads of Appalachia. This is what's going on with KMRA. This is what's going on with, what was this group's name? I forgot. Daniel Boone Byways. This is what's going on with the city of McKee. This is what's going on with our local churches. Something to put everything together and to get out there and cheerlead and go rah, rah, rah. This is what's going on in Jackson County. We don't have it. We've got Judy here doing her absolute best. We got Greg, we got Kathy, we got tons, we got some people working hard, but we don't have nobody that is that cheerleader that's putting everything together. These people are volunteering. All right? We all are public servants. We know what public servant means. They're being public servants without getting a dime. We need some way, all right, to fund someone to be this cheerleader for our county. All right? It's not going to change our culture. It's going to let people drive through, see what we've got going on, spend a little bit of money here, and then go back home. That's what we want. We don't want them to move in here and stay. We don't want to change our values. We just want to travel through, spend a couple of dollars at the gas station, you know, go here to the Mexican restaurant. Maybe we could get 2 or 3 other restaurants available. Go to Mama D's. I mean, that's what we're looking for, and we need someone to do that. Now, how do we fund it? I don't know. I know that there's ways that we can. The biggest thing I see in my other counties is they have, and I know it's a bad word, but it's that transient tax. I've talked to all 3 of you about it, and I know nobody likes tax. I don't like taxes either. All right, at the state level, we're trying to lower taxes. So it doesn't sound good for me to say, you know what, we need to add a tax. But I think there's a way that we can do it to where it's not going to affect our people, and it's going to help our people, you know, if we're smart about it. So that's my 2 cents. I would support a transient set tax 100%. I would put it in the newspaper, probably gonna put it in my next article about the benefits of this tax. Our people aren't paying it. You know, we're not paying it. It's people that's traveling through here to pay it that might help fund someone like this cheerleader I'm talking about that can say, you know what? And we can rely on that person to where they are the person that lets us know what's going on. Right now, you've got tons of things. We had an autism walk going on in San Gal last week. I didn't know nothing about it. And it was a great event. I seen it on Facebook. Knew nothing about it. We have tons of things like that going on that we don't know about because we don't have someone there that's being that cheerleader, that's working with our public library. She does tons of things. She does tons of things in our public library. She puts a little bit on Facebook, but that's it. How nice would it be if we had someone making brochures, putting them out in surrounding counties? Hey, here's an Easter egg hunt we're having. You know, we probably had 5 or 10 different Easter egg hunts on Saturday, last Saturday, and I don't know about any of them really. I went to one in Wolf County because they called and asked me to come, so I went. You know, it's one of those things that we just need that cheerleader. So that's my plea with you guys. And I know money's tough, money's tight, but I promise you, I work with 2 other counties that's a lot smaller than we are, that have a lot less money than we are, but they've got something going on every single night. Go to downtown Bathville, see what's going on. Go to Campton, see what's going on. And the only difference I see is they have a director that's promoting these events and bringing people in. I made a special trip to Bathville last week to buy something just because their tourism director called me and said, hey, we're doing a shop local event. You better come and buy something and get your picture. If not, people are going to know you didn't come and buy local. So it's one of those things. It's pressure. It's having someone to put pressure on your people to come into McKee, to come into Hannibal, to come into San Gap, and make Jackson County proud. So that's my spiel. Now we'll turn it over to the experts.
Well, you know, we've got the assets here. And coming up in the next month, we've got, Judy's passed around this recreational economy for rural communities. So we've had a lot of things going on to help promote, and it's the building process. I'm going to say what we're in the middle of, and at some point very soon, we're going to have to step up with our tourism commission and have a dedicated person. You know, a lot of good volunteers can only go so far. Everybody here has got tons of things on their plate, you know, either on the personal or the public side. So, you know, it's important that let me ask y'all a question. Has anybody ever complained about the fact that anywhere you've went and you stayed overnight, did you complain about the fact that you, when you gave your check to the counter, did you ever think about that transient tax that you paid? Did you really complain about that? Did you make a decision not to stay somewhere because you had to pay that? I never had. It's the same principle for us. And that's the sustainability part of having a tourism director, a downtown development director. All those things work together, and you bring that from the people that come in and spend that money. You get 3%. 3% of $100 is what? You know, who's going to complain about that? So, yeah. So you may mention that some of the other counties have made a resolution to where
I've got an example of an ordinance that Knox County did, and Knox County's ordinance, the way theirs is written, they put on a 3% transit tax, and in the ordinance, under section 3, which is collection procedures and exceptions, this is what their exception is. Suites, rooms, cabins, or other transient accommodations in Knox County rented to individuals with valid identification showing a Knox County, Kentucky residence shall be exempt from the local transient room tax. There's no other exemptions to this ordinance. So in other words, in Knox County, if you live in Knox County, you go rent one of the rooms, you don't pay it. And I told them, my thinking is, if we go the route of a transit tax for our county, this would be something that I personally would like to do if we went that route, into having a a way to create a little bit of revenue to help sustain that cheerleader that Representative Tripp was talking about, that tourism director. And we was talking about this morning, this may be one of those things that, this is the, I've got a copy of that, I'm gonna pass it now. This is the job description that they was looking at. It's one of those things that you might want to start out with a part-time person to see how they do. You don't want to get locked in with somebody and then turn out to be not what you want them to be. But the purpose of having a transient fee or tax, however you want to call it, on would be to help fund this person in their operation.
And that's just lodging.
And it's just lodging, that's all it is.
Short-term lodging.
Yeah, and in this packet that they passed out, you'll see the list of rooms that you can rent in Jackson County. This will be the only ones that'll ever be collecting this tax. And like I say, if we did venture into this, that would be the one thing that I would recommend is to follow that example of the ordinance to make it where if you're a Jackson County citizen, you had valid identification that you was a resident here, you'd be exempt from it. I wouldn't think anybody'd have a problem with that in the county, but you know, I don't know. Ross, I was going to give you a copy of that just to look over. That's an option.
And that does happen. You know, we get county folks that stay with us.
Yeah, it does. You got a yoga?
Yeah, we have a yoga retreat coming.
Yeah.
From some folks from the county.
You going to that?
I think that's supposed to be there.
Where is it?
Sign him up.
Okay.
Yoga.
I just want to add a few things to this. On this list here that was just updated recently, and from last year to this year, there were 10 lodgings added to Jackson County. What you'll see here, there's actually 54 different lodges. There's 216 rooms available today. There's another 19 rooms that are booked or just closed temporarily because they have long-term rentals. And there's another 9 rooms that are just seasonal. They only rent their places out in the summertime because they don't want to do the stuff during, you know, they want their kids to clean and work on the B&B during the summer, so it's a great summer job for their youth. And then we're picking up some RV campsites now. And I know of another 10 lodgings, cabins that are being either renovated or built as we speak. And if they're not open this year, they will be open next year. And those are the ones just that I know of. And every time I go to Airbnb, which is about every 6 months, I find new people have listed Jackson County that we didn't even know of. So it's a growing industry, and we can thank these people for bringing tourism dollars in our county, because these people are staying, they're going to Flat Lake Falls, they're going to the Forest Service, and they're spending money at our restaurants and at our gas stations and at our lodging. So they're providing, you know, a huge amount of income. And initially, I talked to one lodging owner that was opposed to this tax. He has now said he's thought about it, and he no longer is, because he knows the help that's needed. And I am tapped out. All our brochures need updating. I don't have time. And then on the next page here, I just want to show you what Beattyville's doing. I talked to Deidre Vandenberg at Beattyville. She's their tourism director. She gave me this list of things she's working on right now. These are funds that she has approved. 3 of these funds, we were not eligible because we didn't have that full-time tourism director. So there's about $15,000 we could have had we had a tourism director that we lost out immediately on. And then you can see here she's got another $500,000 project, another $250,000 project that she's working with multiple counties. So the right person in this position can bring in a lot of money for this community is my point, but I just wanted you to see what this one person in Beattyville is doing. Talking to her, she originally was hired part-time through the tourism board as a consultant. The fiscal court then, and she was also doing consulting work for the fiscal court as a grant writer and economic developer. So the fiscal court hired her on full-time as a tourism economic development grant writer. And then they got so busy, now that's the separate position, she's full-time tourism. And they have another person doing economic development and grant writing. So we hope that we can build that type of relationship. And then
They're a third of our size.
yeah.
I mean, we've got 3 times the population that Lee County does. And look at the money that's coming in. Lee County don't have anything that we don't have.
Right, so that she is being paid for through the transit tax. And it's 100% funded through there. Their economic development person is paid for elsewhere now. But talk to Boonville, smaller than us as well. They have a full-time person too in economic development and tourism. They have only one lodging and only a couple restaurants. Half her salary is paid by the fiscal court, the other half is paid by the city. So she's got a full-time job doing nothing but, mostly they have an event center. She's planning events in Boonville and at this event center and making money for the community that way. Then I just want to say that Greg brought in a program called Save Your Town that did multiple public meetings through the county last week. And a lot of these businesses from the bed and breakfast here, plus a growing art community was there, plus other people that want to start a tourism business were there. And the number one thing they said is we need one central location that when you have a tourist in town, they can look at one map or one calendar and say, okay, this Saturday we got an art show going on here, we got an Easter egg hunt here, we've got activities going on here, we've got this Jeep show coming into town and they're gonna be here then. So right now we're spread so thin, and I could say that JC Tech is suffering because I've got too many irons in the fire right now. So
My wife says Clover Bottom Bed and Breakfast, I'd be doing the same thing.
So we're just saying because we need help. Now we have another group that's willing to help us. That's what this front page is. So this is another proposal that I wrote. This is a planning grant, and we've had people on our Zoom calls from the Forest Service locally as well as all the way up to Washington, D.C. They are interested in the Forest Service being a base to create an outdoor recreational economy for small communities. So they are going to be in Jackson County on May 8th and 9th. And their sole purpose, the morning of the 8th, they're going to be touring around. The evening, we're going to have free barbecue dinner, followed by a meeting afterwards at the event center down here at the extension office. And they want to hear your ideas. They want to know, what do you want to see for your community? I think it's important that everyone at that table there as elected official be at one of the meetings, either on Monday night or Tuesday is broken down into 2 sessions about how do we get from where we're at today to where we want to be. And there's going to be somewhere between 10 and 15 dignitaries from all these funding groups, ARC, Economic Development, EPA, the Forest Service is going to be presented. So they bring all these resources to our little community, and to me it's important that we get as many people out there as possible to show what this community wants and needs. And
that's going to be at the Extension Service Conference.
Correct.
I was putting it in my calendar there, right?
Yep.
Jackson County and Jenkins is the only ones in the state of Kentucky that got this grant.
Yeah,
Okay.
that got this grant. And what the communities that got this last year and the year before, they were able to, after they had this plan together, bring in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars to their community in economic development projects. It can bring in small business loans, it can bring in event centers, it can bring in whatever you all want to see in your community. So I think it's important that you all express your voices there, and I do appreciate that. And the other thing is, tourism is working on a budget too, and we were given some money last year that we didn't know if we should hire somebody or not. I know we talked to the judge at least 6 months ago saying, is this going to be a county employee or is this going to be a tourism employee? So that's kind of the answer we need to know whose budget this person needs to go in. Is it going to be on the county budget or is it going to be in our budget so that we can figure out what to do with this money, because we're getting lots of requests for this money. People holding events that want this money, and we're holding out to see, what you are gonna do. So we need to know what you are gonna do so we can move forward.
Yeah, the big picture here is making the tourism board and the tourism efforts a sustainable group. And the way you do that is get a little money flow. So that's why all this transient talk, like everywhere else, has a transient. And that's money that goes straight into the tourism account that gets voted on for the right reason. So it's marketing money to help all these people out here, these small businesses that are trying to make it through the tourism industry. And that's our big asset. Yeah, that's our big opportunity, is to help build a value in our county through tourism. So the sustainability part is more important than anything. I pulled up some numbers here. I did some high-tech research here. I Googled it, right? Occupancy rate as an average is about 48%. This was just Airbnb. And there's 44 Airbnb listings here, not including the ones that are not on Airbnb. But so an average night stay is about $120. So if you do the math on that, that's about $21,000, $22,000 that a small business is generating here. And if you look at that as a whole for the year, that's just short of $1 million. So right now, we've got just short of $1 million coming into this county through our lodging. And if you take 3% of that, that's $28,917. Okay, so that's enough to fund, a tourism director or an assistant or whatever, and that keeps it sustainable. And the sustainable part is you guys have to pass that resolution that says we're going to do it. So that's that part. Now, the other side is the county and you guys being comfortable with how this money gets spent. And like Judy said, you guys administered that $50,000, and right now our account is sitting on $45,000. We spent $5,000. And there's also another $20,000 through a group, P2C group, that was contingent upon us being sustainable. So there's 20 other thousand that would drop into that too. So it's important that we have this discussion. I think we got momentum, and we're going to outpace ourselves real quickly here if we don't put the right positions in place to make sure we manage this correctly.
And I just want to give you a few reports. I don't know if you noticed the mural up here at Sparks Park has been redone with new prints, and you can see the legend went from this big to this big. We have that much more going on since we put that mural up. We also have land and water conservation funds are due again. If you all want anything in these parks, that's a 50-50 match money. All the parks were built with it. It's due at the end of May, so you need to be talking to me or the ad within the next couple weeks to get those grants in. Also, I just want to report what we're doing. I'm working with PRTC in the city on 290 Park. So we're converting that tennis court into a multi-purpose court because we're having requests for volleyball and pickleball. So on that court, we've got the poles ordered. It'll be tall poles where you can adjust the net to volleyball, badminton, tennis, pickleball. We just got another grant to resurface that. It'll be resurfaced in June with new lines painted on for all those activities. And then PRTC is working on getting picnic tables and grills put back up, which should happen this month. And then we're going to write a grant there for some new playground equipment and lights on that field. So that's a grant that we're going to be working on. And then I just want to make one more request. Pickleball is getting to be a huge thing throughout the whole U.S.
That's confused me and Brian, so we'll explain to him.
You were interested in, we said pickle.
It's tennis for old people. So there you go.
You use a paddle and a wiffle ball on a small court. So my brother in California says, I play with my 89-year-old father-in-law. Can still play pickleball. And I just got new knees, so maybe I can play on these courts again too. I don't know.
It's between tennis and
ping pong.
Ping pong.
Yeah, it's a great sport. The kids are getting to play at the high school level. They love it. People my age and older love it. Like if you go to London Park, you can't get on the court. You'll have to wait to get on the court, and they've got, I guess, 5 or 6 different courts up there. So it's a great little sport.
So I requested in the fiscal court today, if you will buy the paint, the tape, and the rollers, Tim has volunteers, and I will help them lay out pickleball courts on every tennis court in this county, because you can play both sports on the same court,
Yep.
and it's only gonna cost you a little bit of paint, some rollers and tape. So if you're willing to do that, we could have pickleball on every park in the county. Then I'm gonna shut up, unless you guys got questions.
Does every park have a tennis court? Do they?
Yeah, Greyhawk Park has one, Anvil has 2, Sand Gap has 1, and then we have the one down here. And this is coming from somebody that loves tennis and had to go to Berea 45 years ago when I first moved to Jackson County. Now I can play on any park in the county. My knees would let me.
Y'all got any questions?
I want to see it play pickle.
Let me tell you something. I'll be honest, I'm pretty good at it. I will tell you, ask anybody at the high school, I beat the young guys all the time.
And
They
your,
call me Big Hammer. Big Spike Hammer is what they call me.
your court at Flatwood Falls could have some, your basketball court could have some side posts there where they could stretch a net on, and we could put a pickleball court at Flatwood too, if y'all would like.
That needs to be done.
And if you want playground equipment at Flatwood, now's the time to apply for land and water.
When does
We apply for
when
land
does that
water,
go
one
out?
out.
You have to have the application in by the end of May, so we need to start working on it pretty quick, because we gotta get cost estimates, and we gotta do the descriptions and fill out the application, so it will take some time to do that, but if you let me know in the next couple of weeks, I can help, or the area development can help with that as well.
Okay. Gotcha.
And that's a 50-50 match, and it works just like this other grant. You spend the money, they send you 50% back. So, you know, with playground equipment, it's tough because you pretty much gotta put in the whole thing at one time. So you gotta have the money up front, and they'll send 50% of it back to you.
Any questions about the tax? We good? Everybody understand?
Yeah, I can give Ross a copy of that ordinance to look over, that way we can use
I've got one other item, if y'all don't mind. It's kind of self-serving, but it is what it is. It's about a small business in Jackson County. Recently, Clover Bottom Bed and Breakfast was just nominated for Best Small Business from Your Home from the Kentucky Small Business Administration.
Well,
was able to win that award. So
congratulations.
Excited about that.
Yeah, congratulations.
So we have a small business in the county that's got a state award. Proud about that.
Wonderful, good job. Somebody want a motion to buy some paint, tape, and rollers? You got it.
All right. Okay, Tim, let's get them together.
Pickleball.
Now, whenever you play the first game, invite me.
I'll even let you be my partner.
Well, I'm gonna see
We'll
how,
win.
I'm gonna see how it does you first. Before I get the money.
We'll have a special day.
That's right. We'll break it in. Honoring first pickleball, me and you. On the same thing.
He gets to throw at the first pick.
Yeah, that's right.
Tim, we'd like to live stream that.
Perfect.
I got you.
Perfect.
We have good ordinance. Yeah, we'll discuss it, is it all right to discuss it next week? Because you have to advertise the ordinance. You gotta have a public hearing. And you have to have 2 readings of it. So we'd have to have one drafted up. Are y'all interested?
We have to bring some pickles to the gym.
What's pickleball?
I'll bring a jar of pickles next time you pass that ordinance.
These shirts up there.
Thanks, Tim.
I can bring some. I'll get some.
Guys, if
I like to
y'all
see
want
Big
to,
Hammer.
come to that.
Did you say?
Come to that
Either one.
That's great. Know that we are in. They're able.
Yes.
We'll try to have reading it the next one, my man. Can you hang on just a second?
Okay.
Caitlin is gonna give us an update on the
Yeah, we got
hotel.
the
We're
most
getting in there
important
right
project.
now. Yeah, sorry, go ahead. This is Caitlin Mason, Cumberland Valley Area Development District, by the way. Thank you for coming.
So basically, a few weeks ago, the Jackson County Fiscal Court reached out to us about a HUD CPF project that you all been awarded, correct? And the project consists of the Jackson County Business Incubator Development Plan. And so this is going to be at the old Jackson County Jail and includes site improvements of the outdoor space on the courthouse square in front of the historic building and provide a place for small businesses that need to start their business for tourism and other business related activities. So some examples, Judy, help me if you want, is like for like the local high school businesses classes to start a student-run business or any other type of small businesses going into this incubator. And the plaza would be a place for downtown tourism, so like for places for food trucks and local concerts and all that. So we just kind of met and discussed it, like the Cumberland Valley Act could provide a role in this project doing like the administration side, and we said we would be interested if we can. So we're just kind of like in the early stages of contacting HUD to see what everybody's role is. We have a meeting scheduled for Monday of next week with HUD itself to figure out where we're at, where we're going, and how we need to proceed.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's all I've got. It's just really early stages of right now because I've not done a HUD CPF project before, but at the ad, we've done like HUD CDBG projects and stuff too. So this is fairly new for us, so we're just excited to help out in any way that we can.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to add, Judy?
No, we're just trying to keep this project going so that we can get it complete as quickly as possible and not lose any of the funds due to time delays. So, like I said, I'm overbooked. There's no way I can administer this grant. It takes a lot of work to read through all this government paperwork that you've got to do in the ad. That's their expertise. So,
yeah.
So I think
we appreciate y'all stepping in to help us with
administration
that.
money would be
So,
well worth it.
This is the grant that we was awarded from the Congressman's office for access to the federal government on the Congressman's community projects, and that is a business incubator project that will restore that building and make this courtyard very nice. It's going to be nice when it gets done. So thank you. Thank you. If you got any announcements from the library, thanks for coming, by the way. All right. Any other questions before we get into the business? All right. Thank you guys for coming. Yeah. I've got a judge's report here somewhere. Here it is. Last several weeks we've been busy with projects and planning, and the next phase is Worthing Park grant project are underway. The project is funded by a Land and Water Conservation Fund grant that came through the Park and Local Government and is funded through the National Park Service. The grant amount we applied for was $200,000. The grant is a 50-50 grant, which means the fiscal court is responsible for 50% match. In other words, we spend $200,000, they give us $100,000 back once we complete. Crews have begun removing the old light poles from the top field, and as soon as the old poles are out, we begin installing the new poles and lights. After that, we replace the bleachers. We're going to pave around the concessions and the restrooms, start construction on the lights on the lower field, and look at what needs improved on tennis and basketball courts, as well as modification to the fencing. We've had county employees, inmate crews, softball parents, and volunteers help by painting the dugouts and concession stand. And we appreciate that greatly. And it's already starting to look a lot better, and I'm excited for completion. Little League softball started this week at Worthing Park, and I realize this may be a bit inconvenient, but the poles are desperately needing changed. The last windstorm we had came through, actually broke one of the poles, which landed on some of the bleachers, destroying them. Those poles have been in since the 70s, so you can imagine how much they have deteriorated. The contractor who's working this project has been extremely busy. It's come up on request because of the urgency of the need to change these dangerous light poles. It's all coming together and should be done this year. We're on track to get the splash pad open by Memorial Day weekend. There remains a water line to be installed and everything to be regulated once that is completed. And I believe this will be a welcome sight for our community once it's up and going. When we have a solid date for a grand opening, we'll advertise that and plan a special event. This project is a joint project between the Fiscal Court and the City of McKee. The campground is now open at Flat Lake Falls. You can make reservations by going to www.fireflyreservations.com. RV sites are $35 per night, 10 sites are $10 a night. And we need to look into the possibility of having a campground host for flat league. Every campground is different, where we need to look at the specific in the job duties, hours, and equipment requirements. I'd ask the fiscal court to consider this as we address it in the near future. So that's my report today. Daniel, you got anything to report?
Great, and keeping the roads up, James.
Get ready to mow, I'm assuming.
And we mowed some with the big tractor already.
Yeah, okay. Dale, you got anything?
Did that website change on the campground?
It did. It ain't the website, they changed their name. It used to be bookyoursite.com.
Right.
And it went to this. Maybe had to leave, she could probably tell you the details of it. We're using the same website, but they changed their name. Yeah. I advertise that on my Facebook page, and I guess that'll be in the papers with these reports too, so that way people will know. You still, once you go on Google and type in Flat Lick Falls RV, it'll pop up. So, Darden, you got anything?
We just been ditching, changing out a few tiles, keeping the roads up.
We're been in contact with a contractor, probably has, so hopefully we'll be getting some blacktop here in the very near future. They've run a little bit out of Cold Bottom in there. Shouldn't be long when we get these roads that we had laid out for last year, then everybody get around to, and we get that, and we get an next round of flex too. So hopefully we'll get quite smart paving. Sheriff Isaac said some business he had to attend to today, so we've got Chief Deputy Mr. Bryant with us.
Bark the Sheriff. Just kind of following up on the month of March, I think we got a little over half a pound of meth, just meth in general off the street. Of course, that was us, the state police, and the city police all kind of combined. Quite a few illegal guns or illegal people that ain't allowed to have guns in there too. We just finished up our hiring process for a new deputy yesterday. I don't think the decision's made, but as far as the process, it's over with. Hopefully next week, Sheriff Isaac will have your announcement for a new deputy.
Okay. All right, thank you, Zach, appreciate that. Brian, Mr. Gabbard.
Yeah, I'll hurry along. Between housing classes, phones, and holding for other counties, first time I've ever done it. $103,000 what we brought in, and our classes are doing phenomenal. I mean, last month, that's $18,000 that we received from graduates in those classes. And also got another 100% on our audit with those as well. We started more parks and graveyards and those.
I've got a request too, while we're talking about, when you start down Lake Street, that's where they do the bouldering at. And there's over the hill, there's I think somebody said there's a microwave, maybe a small refrigerator. There's some stuff that's been thrown over them steep hills. There ain't nobody lives down there. That's where they come in and do the boulder climb. And they asked me yesterday if we could send some inmates down there to kind of clean that out.
We went down there about a month ago and cleaned all that, so it must be new.
It's new.
Maybe somebody moved in.
Unfortunately, it's new. Yeah, this guy was just in yesterday and asked me. Yeah.
We can pick a roll up and 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. The other day they picked up 600 and some pounds of trash on 3 or 4 miles. 600 pound trash. Well, that's what the state crews do. Yeah, we got 2 crews that do that. 587.
Yeah, he's got a crew.
Yeah, they run through Michael Singleton, but I can always tell. That's what I do. Somebody mentions the road.
That little maze cemetery, they got there 4 kills. Like the boys, my men said they target down right there at the top of that thing. All up that road, they just want a graveyard, but it's.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
You know where those.
Yeah.
Most of the tracks, so it's from 2 to 5 miles of store.
Yeah.
But 587.
By the time they get the chips in their pocket, or their candy bar,
They get the woody parts thrown out.
Yeah, they don't do
just about measure.
That's a lot of dirt.
There between 1071 and Joy Bitters on place.
That's like, that little ramp off New 30, we picked it up, I don't know how many times. And you go up that ramp when you're coming off of it, look on the side of that road, how bad it is.
Yep. They go uptown and get them something to eat, that's by the time they finish
Throw
it
it
up.
I'll tell you what it'll do if you've ever picked up trash in your life.
Just toss it and throw it out.
Don't let or anybody in your automobile. I will not let them throw anything.
Only throw it out, piece of chewing.
Outlet of my car, so.
All right, let's see, now we passed E and F. Item G, I've got hit here, Jackson County Conservation District give me their annual budget. We don't approve their budget, but I just always put it in the minutes of a court meeting that they have presented their budget to us since they are a taxing district of the county. They are expected to receive $404,815 on the fiscal year that's coming up, starting July 1 of 23 and June 30 of 24. They are budgeted to spend $449,815,000, and the reason that their appropriations are more than the revenues is because they have some extra state cost share that's coming in that wasn't spent from this year that'll be able to be spent next year. So I just need a motion that I have given you a copy of, that they've given us a copy. You ain't got it, I just got it. You don't see it? Don't matter.
I'd have cut 5 in this pile.
I'm sorry, I didn't make a copy of that. But that's their conservation district, yeah, that they're doing, let's see. They're helping sponsor a team this year to go out to Oklahoma, the land judge, for FFA, for the national land judge, and they're gonna give a sponsorship on that since they're within their bylaws to be able to do that. All right, got a motion that's been presented. Thank you, bud.
Which one is it?
This is item G. For good. All right, got a motion, we'll give it. Oh, did you say, oh, I'm sorry.
Got him down.
All right, now next is County Extension Service budget. That's this one. They've got their budget set for 200. They got their budget set for appropriations $381,000 this time. So there's a copy of their budget. That's the extension service. They do let us use their bill, and I'm glad they was able to purchase that and do what they've done. That's made a nice place down there. So their budget's $381,000 for the coming fiscal year. We don't approve their budget. They just they give us a copy of it to show us what they're doing with their money.
Motion.
Okay. Good, you put them in your stuff, sir.
I'll do it, buddy.
All right, next is our county road aid agreement resolution. Looks like this year, for the coming fiscal year, we will be receiving an amount of $1,231,250.68 in the county road aid. That's about what we've been getting. I don't believe it's went up very bit because we'll get about close to 300,000 in flex funds, so about $1.5 million, $1.4 million is what we got this last fiscal year. So I just need a motion to sign this agreement and resolution.
Motion.
All right, now the third quarter report, I think Randy will give you a copy of those. It's hard to believe we're in the third quarter of this fiscal year, but we are. We are hoping pretty good. We got a little bit of a negative in the jail fund, but when you have we have some checks that come in that will, and the same thing in the general fund. We have some checks that come in that'll offset that, and then transfer station fund that will offset that. Once we started, just like the last week, man, they've been awful at the bills or the money that's come in to pay for trash bills that's not in this report. So that'll all level out once we get them in the fund. got $1,134,206 of Rescue Act funds left. That special grant account that's got $1,277,000 in it, that's including that $1,002,500 that's set up for the EMS building. This big motion, you've been presented the third quarter report.
Motion.
Second. Okay. Now, set free dump days, last thing I got besides the bill. Now, the reason we're having to set this up in June is there's a problem up there, that hopper's fell apart, and we got to get it fixed, and we got a boy local here that's gonna fix it. We just gotta get him up there to fix it. I talked to him last week. So we're gonna set the free dump day for June the 3rd. That's the first Saturday in June, from 8 till, I think Jason said 8 to 2. I've got 8 to 4, I'm sorry, let's correct that. It's 8 to 2 that day. If there's somebody there in line at 2 o'clock, we ain't gonna turn them away. Then the tar amnesty days, which is the free tar, and that will be at the transportation garage over in Greyhawk. That is Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, June 15th, 16th, and 17th. June the 15th is from 8 to 4, the 16th is from 8 to 4, then Saturday, June the 17th will be from 8 to 12, and the state sets those hours. But we've been given the money for Tar Amnesty Day. So what'll happen is when we take all those tars in, the state will pay for all that. We just need to set that officially to the court. So free dump day, June the 3rd, and then the Tire Amnesty Day. Is there any questions on those?
What's the first day, the tire?
It's June the 15th. The 15th is on Thursday. Yeah, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Thursday, Friday's from 8 to 4, Saturday is from 8 to 12. We've got money that comes in through that litter abatement grant for the litter abatement grant pays for our free dump day. We had a free dump month in January. We took garbage for that.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Motion.
Motion. Okay, treasurer's bills and transfers, just need a motion that I'll show them to you. Anything out of ordinary, just let me know.
Motion.
Next meeting is set for May 11th at 1 o'clock. Just need a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
Thank you, guys and ladies.